What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Wimkin, people, Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Good to see everybody here. Hope everyone is feeling good, ready for the new year. We definitely are. Going to have a good show tonight. We got Mike in the house, myself, and Olivia will all be coming through on your preferred device. What are we talking about?
Excuse me.
God bless you.
Bless you.
We're talking about generational fighters. Is China surpassing America at military technology? Are we all going to die in a fiery ball of single-engine aircraft, multiple-engine aircraft, sixth-generation stealth technology, super flux capacitor, ball-bearing jets? No, we're not. But I'm going to tell you what the hell's going on while everyone tries to make you have fear porn. We're going to talk about the jet that ran into a Russian building. Is it a jet? The answer is no, it's not. Why are people lying to you? Well, I'll go into it along with Mike and Olivia. We're going to talk about some hellacious stuff that I really don't even want to give a premise for because people are just evil. We're going to talk about that. Canada, it's gaining traction, the 51st state. I'm just letting you know what's going to happen, what's not. White people, are we being replaced? We're going to find out about that too. It's going to be a fun show. We got a lot to do. Also talk about Biden's vacations. We'll have a good conversation. We'll see you guys back in about 3 seconds. Donations are open. 3 minutes. Step into a Wimkin.
It's Red Friday, RED Friday, which stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. The movement designed to honor veterans and deployed U.S. troops by wearing a red shirt every Friday. As simple as that may be, Red Friday is a great way to back those who serve our country. Go to dumbshow.com and search for Red Friday to get your red on.
Hi, Matthew. It's Judge Janine, and I wanted to congratulate you on the Don't Unfriend Me show at the Dumb Show. I was thinking about that whole thing the other day when I thought it was right after Donald Trump was elected that everybody on the left started unfriending anyone on the right. So I'm glad you're calling them out. We've got a great name for the show, and I hope that you're true to the values, conservative values, Republican values, and that you call those people out. I think it's great. And I know you've got 135,000 followers. I hope you get a lot more. And just keep the faith. Keep fighting. I think we may get America back. But in the meantime, we've got a steep hill to climb. And you're one of the fighters, one of the patriots. So thank you for what you're doing.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Shirley said she got her Moab coffee today. Shirley, I apologize. Almost a month late because it was stuck in Atlanta, but you can see how quick it comes. Matt was a great guy. Did he get you 2 bags? Let me know. He wanted to say thank you and apologize for that. He won't let you down again. You had a chance to drink the Moab coffee. Mike, what did you have to say about it?
I could smell colors and taste sounds. It was amazing. I normally don't drink coffee. I had that thing straight black today, so I didn't like ruin the flavor. It didn't burn it, nothing. This coffee, guys, worth it. I gave some to my best and favorite customer at work and to, well, I still have to give it to my family member because mine showed up like an hour after I left on Christmas Eve to go be with the fam. So I'm going to see them tomorrow and let's see what they think, but worth it.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Our coffee is not cheap. It's made well and it lasts. So you don't have to put in 40 scoops. A lot of people half a scoop for a cup of coffee, but if you French press it, forget about it. You'll be up all day. Like, do not French press it after noon, because you'll be up till midnight. I'm not kidding.
I wish you told me that because that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, you're gonna be banging off the walls like Lucy balls. Like it's it's like 245 milligrams of caffeine a cup.
Oh.
It's no
That's
joke.
why I've been like this all day. Okay.
Yeah. It makes you happy. I mean, it's powerful stuff, but it's not going to hurt you. And what I always do is I brew, I do 8 scoops per 10 cups, and then I fill it 3/4 of the way, and then I put some what's it called? Not purified water, but reverse osmosis RO water. Because we've got it on our house, and I just cool it down and just, oh, dude, forget about it. It's perfect. Well, I'm glad you like it, buddy. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Yeah. Putting up the goal, folks. We have the goal is up. We have moved it for the start of the year to $2.75. Comcast is raising their prices a little bit on us, which is normal. We're expanding the show. We're getting a lot bigger, and we're trying to hit those goals so we can do things. So we also had to put a little more security on the house. We've been getting an uptick in threats and other things. So we just constantly trying to, make it work. So hopefully you guys understand. Facebook screwed us over, took our revenue, and we didn't ask for donations for 3.5 years. But we start at the beginning of the show. We'll make an update around 8:30, about a half hour left. And then we usually stay on, and we always seem to hit it. But if you're interested, thedumbshow.com/donate. It's your first time watching. Maybe you just watch tonight and like, share, and follow if it's something you enjoy. We do occasionally have some language, but we're trying to curb that a little bit. Olivia cusses more than all of us now.
Like a sailor, always.
And you actually do. You've been cussing quite a bit lately. I was going to talk to you about that. You need to get better. But I know. I'm just saying. So
only when I talk about Biden.
It is true. So let's get going. Mike, you look much better. We still got to thank you, Stacy. We need to get you a new camera.
Thank you, Stacy.
But overall, like, your lighting's good, your centering is good. Now we just need to get you a DSLR camera, and we will make sure that happens. You look fantastic. All right. Let's get in. I'm fixing your green screen. Just a little snazzy, and a little zoomy, and then I'm going to zoomy. And then we should be goody. All right, so Facebook has taken Dan Bongino off too. Yeah, it's just screwy, man. They just haven't been good to us. So Facebook has. It's just disappointing, right? And it's just and now Twitter is kind of going that way, but we'll talk about that later. So let's get into it. I wanted to start off with a Mike, how was Christmas? I didn't ask you. Did you have a good Christmas?
I had a phenomenal Christmas except for one thing, and this
That's
is
okay.
not
we don't care.
No.
So
Okay.
I just that was a generic. It was a generic question, just so because I asked everyone else. I didn't want you to feel left out. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I missed out on seeing my nephew, my brother-in-law, my sister yesterday. They did the Christmas at the in-laws. So I did Christmas with my parents while they were at the in-laws. And then the best thing about technology and Apple is FaceTime. I got to FaceTime last night and see my 2.5-year-old nephew. He's almost 2.5. Open my present. Sorry. And he sat there and I got to hear him go, "Thank you, Uncle Michael."
Oh,
and I was like,
that's awesome.
the best.
Try not to get emotional, be a man about it. And no, it brought a tear to the eye. A lovely family, lovely Christmas.
That's
one of the
awesome.
best.
That's awesome. Nothing like family, dude. Nothing like making that impact. Olivia, your face is fantastic. Your shoulders fantastic. Your hair, on the other hand, also looks fantastic. It's very tall. So we got to. You look beautiful, by the way. Very, very, very Audrey Hepburn-ish. And
Thanks.
Can't wait for our Friday evening of alone time. It's going to be very nice.
So you can take down the hair.
What did you say?
So
honey?
you can take down the hair.
No, it's like that makes a good grip. Like just. So anyway.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, this is uncomfortable for you.
Mike's family. It's just getting
It's like being with my parents. I don't want to hear it.
my easy. Oh boy. My daughter goes, "You guys live a fantasy novel," and I'm like, "What type of novels are you reading? You better knock it off." I tell you what. Okay. So we got a lot to cover. Let's get into it. First things first. We had talked about this that I expected. Melissa says, "You are all beautiful." Thank you, Melissa. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
You know she's talking about me though, right? She's being nice to you boys.
It's a nice Princess Leia hairdo.
At least I don't have Princess Leia earphones.
Good catch.
That would be Princess Leia Jedi, but only one time did she wear it like this, and that was in the medal ceremony in Star Wars in the first one. Well, the episode 4 or 5, so 4 is what it would be. So she wore it in that, but she didn't do it in Jedi. In Empire, she wore ringlets that kind of went down the back, like several of them. And then in Jedi, she wore 2 braids that went up on her head and was pulled back. So she did this in the medal ceremony only. So that's the only time. So when you call her Princess Leia, it really doesn't make any sense because she only wore her hair like that one time. And that was literally for like 35 seconds. So I'm not sure why you're making that reference.
No trivia to Matt. Writing notes again.
Star Wars medal ceremony.
He knows everything.
You're doing this.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, Olivia. Like that. Like
It really sucks to win an argument against him because he remembers
can see
everything I said. So, kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So, that's when I just revert to my 5-year-old self and start calling him names.
There it is.
there it is.
There it is. The only time she wore her hair like that in all 3. So FYI.
Stud Harrison. Look at the guy.
Matt Howanitz, thank you, Maddie, for the donation. All right, let's get to it. We got. Her hair is very tall. It is, but it looks lovely. I mean, it really does. It looks really good. All right, so let's get to this. Here is the letter that I told you. This was probably that there were going to be several Dems. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, the House is so tight." There's going to be probably 5 to 7 of. She looked great in Jabba's compound. She sure did. And that's where she had her straight braid. It was gorgeous. And almost side braid. Yeah. Yeah,
because the hair is what you were looking at in that scene, right?
Absolutely.
Do you know how much lunch she had to blow to do that? I mean, do you know Lucas?
Dude, she was only 23 though, so I'm.
No. Lucas sent her to a fat camp after Empire, and he sent Leia to a fat camp, and she was on ephedrine. That's where she started getting addicted to the speed and some of the pharmaceuticals because she was trying to maintain weight because Lucas was a douche plow. So yeah, that's why she came back in Jedi, and she was literally like 6% body fat and was just horribly, like, she looked amazing. But anyway, I thought she looked beautiful in Star Wars. Like, I thought, especially at the medal ceremony. I mean, she's
She looked great in an older age as well. It's a beautiful woman.
Let's not push it. Let's not push it.
It's my boundaries. My bad.
I just don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is the newer movies, the 1, 2, and 3, the Redux were. Although I love Natalie Portman, like when I heard it was Natalie Portman and Slater, what's his name, Bob?
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen. Sorry, not Slater. I was so stoked because I like A Life as a House with Hayden Christensen is one of my favorite movies of all time, and he is amazing in it. And then I'm like, Natalie Portman, dude. I mean, The Professional, Beautiful Girls. I'm like, and she's smoking. This is gonna be amazing. And then Lucas got a hold of the dialogue, and you're just like, "Are you an angel?" Just, oh God, so stupid. I don't like people. They're made of sand, and sand is coarse and hard. Dude, you're such a pussy for a Sith. You know what I mean? Just come on. All right.
You know so much. It scares me. Oh, my gosh.
All right. Here it is. We've got a letter already. Our first one, Ding Dong, the witch is dead. We have our first casualty. Statement from Representative Hillary Castle. Today, I'm announcing my decision to change my party affiliation from Democrat to Republican. The decision was not made lightly, but comes from a deep sense of responsibility to my constituents and my commitment to the values that guide my service. I'll be joining the Republican Conference of Florida House Representatives because I believe in their vision for a better, more prosperous Florida. As a mother, I want to help yada, 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 yada. Okay? So this is our first casualty of war. I would imagine another 5 to 7 Democrats, they're going to kind of wait for the smoke to clear. And they are going to make a jump because there was a lot of shifts in Democrat strongholds that show a lot of red, and you actually have Democrats in red districts now, and they are going to shift gears because their beliefs of their constituents and their own people are thinking the Democratic Party is fairly toxic and that it's time to jump ship. So we should see our lead increase.
Time.
I know. Mike, how about you? Thank you, Bobby. Mike, what do you think about?
Thank you, Bobby.
What do you think about Democrats and what their message is, and is it resonating with people? They thought they had this young. Abigail says, "Where's Leroy?" Leroy is on Tuesdays and Thursdays now, him and I solo, because Olivia got sick and tired of hearing about military crap.
Pretty much.
So we brought Mike in because Mike knows nothing, and it totally fits.
That's right.
So
he's one of the girls, so it always works.
Right.
Whoa! Hey, take it easy. Take it easy. Hostile.
When Olivia gets in on it, it's good. So
again, you're the FNG. It's going to be a while.
See, she's taking military.
Fair enough.
FNG.
Yeah, it's her turn.
Anyway, buddy, tell me what you think. I mean, is it resonating? Because they thought they had the youth vote locked up. That obviously didn't pan out. What are your thoughts? Is the message bad?
Well, clearly they didn't win the presidential election, and a lot of the Senate and Congress, just in general. So that should tell you data-wise, their message is not resonating. And I was thinking about this on my drive home today. I cannot remember if you guys mentioned it, but y'all lived in California initially, moved to the East Coast, right? Were y'all Democrats converted to Republican? Were you always Republican? Help me.
All right, so that's the last night Mike's ever on the show, and to be honest, Olivia, you go first and help him understand kind of what's hilarious. Really quick is that we have lived to the north, to the west, to the south, and to the east, pretty much as far as you can go, everywhere. As far as you can go west, as far as you can go north, as far as you can go east, and as far as you can go south, in between Olivia and I. So she'll tell you where she comes from and what her political affiliation. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I grew up in Northwest Montana, so 2 hours south of the Canadian border is where I grew up, in a little town called Big Fork. Don't make fun of me, like my family always does for the name of it, in the Flathead Valley. Although one of our very good listeners lives in the same town I grew up in, so
yeah,
that's all it works.
And doesn't know Olivia, but he's a good listener.
He lived across the lake from where I grew up, but to be honest, politics was really not talked about in my house growing up. I didn't know what my parents' political affiliations were until I was out of the house. But they never talked about it.
What was your affiliation though?
I've always been a Republican. As far as I know, my first election was in 2000 for Bush Jr. and I voted for Bush Jr. and I voted Republican
Right.
in every election since. So they just, I align better with the Republican Party than I did the Democrat Party.
And I grew up in California, but I was a Reagan Republican because we were there from 74 till almost 89, 90. So most of California was still red. And then when it started to turn blue, we got out. And then we came to Colorado, which was deep red. So I lived in the center of the country. And then I've lived in a lot of places. I've lived in New Mexico, lived in Arizona, SoCal, Bangor, Washington, Virginia, Florida, Georgia, Texas.
Oh,
I've lived in like 14 different states, whether it be military or just us traveling. So always been a Republican since I was this high. I only voted independent once, which was Ross Perot, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm straight Republican.
forgive me for my misassumption, I suppose.
Yeah.
I will say this: we are seeing with, I think, the Republican Party, especially in this election cycle, if you treat people well, regardless of the politics, you're going to convince them to join your side. That's it. I think that's what we're witnessing real time. I'm happy to see it. I mean, this is this feeling that we can't tangibly touch. Like we can't describe necessarily what we're going through, but this is something in 32 short years on this planet I've never seen it in my life, but you can feel it. And I think that is the tipping point right now. The Democrat Party's eating the tail. So I'd love to see it. Come on board.
Yeah. And not only eating, but chasing. And I think the old adage is, be careful what you wish for, because you very well may get it. And I think Democrats wanted this. They've asked for it. And now they're in a position where the extremist side of the Democratic Party will come out. And the funny thing is that everyone thinks J6, that Republicans are the extremists. That's not true. In fact, there isn't much throughout history that the Democratic Party hasn't rioted for, burned, or actively created chaos in order to achieve, no matter what it is. And here is just more proof. Jamie Raskin and his comments. If you have not had a chance to hear this, this was done some months back, I think in August, but it's good enough to listen now, and let's give it a shot. I got to flip the audio, one sec. There it is. And here it is.
Because what can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job and interpret what's efficient. Because
I find it interesting that this asshat, first of all, wore a do-rag as a cancer patient. What name a man.
Oh, that's that dude. I didn't even recognize him with hair.
Name a guy who has worn a do-rag because of cancer. That's a woman's thing. And all you do is shave that puppy and you're bald, and that's just the way it is, and embrace it. But he's just an emasculated little beta. But my problem is to say that the Supreme Court justices aren't busy. See, this is how stupid our politicians are. They don't understand that, okay, how many district courts are there out there? Do you know, Mike, in the United States?
Not a clue.
Okay.
I wish I did.
Okay, so if we understand the hierarchy of politics, right? So you've got, let's just do this. Let's take a look at the state, okay? In a town, who runs the town?
It's going to be the mayor and the city council.
Mayor and the city council. So the city council goes to the mayor, police department goes to the mayor. Mayor is the governor of the city. So who's the governor of all the mayors? The governor, right? Governor is the governor of the mayors. Who is the president of the governors?
President.
President of the United States. So he's not the president of the people. In fact, that is one of the biggest misnomers ever, is the governors are your president, is the way you have to look at it, because they are in your state, and each state has an equal voice and an equal amount of representation based upon the populace. That's where you get the state legislature. That's where you get the Senate. So if we know that there's a hierarchy to politics, and there's a hierarchy to workplace, hierarchy in even your family. You've got little toddler running around. You've got big brother, big sister. You've got uncle and aunt, and you've got mom and dad and grandma, grandpa, great grandma, great grandpa. There's a hierarchy in everything. How many Supreme Court justices do we have? Do you know? Don't look this shit up.
9.
9. You've got this.
Yep.
So if there's 9 Supreme Court justices, let's work backward. What are those 9 Supreme Court justices in charge of?
The law of the land.
Right. And that is their day job, where they convene and they hear cases, an incredible amount of cases in a short period of time that they decide to take on. Where do these cases come from, though?
The states.
The states. So they are going to come from, at the lowest level, you have the city and municipality and the local legislative body and the executive enforcement at the local level. Then you have something where it goes up to circuit court. And you have state court. Then you have district court. So who do you think, district is the highest in the state, who do you think that the Supreme Courts oversee? If the districts are that, right, which would be districts, right?
The district.
How many districts are there now in the United States? You could figure this out. If each Supreme Court has a district, how many are there?
9.
There's 9. So therefore, a Supreme Court justice has a group of states, usually based on population, where you'll have Georgia, you'll have Florida, you'll have Tennessee, whatever, and you'll have a district. And then you'll have your southeastern district. Then you'll have your northeastern district. Then you have your central. Then you'll have your, northwestern, western, southwestern, etc. And these districts are based upon population, based upon zoning, and based upon overall constituents. There are some of these district courts that are extremely, extremely liberal. And these are federal courts. And you have some that are very GOP driven and etc. So here's the thing. The reason I tell you that whole story is because when it comes to Supreme Court justices, this idiot doesn't understand that 75% of their job is to oversee and listen to all of those district and federal level cases that get bubbled up to the state Supreme Court. So they oversee and hear. And that is why each judge brings, and this is why there's 9 judges, so they can go ahead and bring their district's cases that need to be heard by the Supreme Court, and then the court decides which ones they're going to listen to. So when this jerk-off says, oh, these Supreme Court justices have no idea what they're doing, they're not listening, they don't know anything about this, it's not true. Because every justice brings these cases in a de facto state of information and overall discovery to the other justices, and then they decide what's going to be on the docket. This is how our system works. So when Jamie Raskin says Supreme Court justices have nothing to do and they're just bored and they don't do shit, they make our Congress and our Senate look like Mickey Mouse. They do an incredible amount of work. They are extremely well informed, and most of them have already heard these cases by the time that they officially hear them. In fact, most judges already begin to write their arguments, whether they wanted to affirm or dissent against the opinion, and start asking qualifying questions based upon what they're formulating in their opinion and saying, well, I can't conclude this, so I'm going to ask this question of counsel to identify what's going on within this piece of legislation or this case that I'm hearing or this appeal that I'm hearing. So I know this isn't school. It really frustrates me when Democrat leaders do this type of shit and pretend that the Supreme Court justice are some of the not the hardest working people in Washington, D.C. Does that make sense?
It does. What was his name? Askin, whatever. Askis. Maybe he's just so,
Raskin.
right. Yeah, that guy. Maybe he's just so bogged down with not doing shit that he's just so overburdened that maybe he's putting himself on a pedestal and thinking that everybody else is just so bogged down with not doing anything. What do you think?
Well, I just think he is a he's a blowhard, and he's a shill for his party, and he is the new hitman since Adam Schiff is no longer a viable option since he embarrassed himself. Tina Savage, go get a black tea bag, make a cup of tea, then let that tea bag cool down and put it in your gum line around your jaw where your toothache hurts, and that will help drain some of the poison and the buildup in your tooth and give you some pain relief. Also, the tea leaves have a lot. You have like a eucalyptus mint. It's a natural numbing herb that you can put in there because the mint and the eucalyptus will be a natural numbing. It's not going to be fantastic. Also, if you have cloves, that will do the same thing, but just get a black tea bag and put it in your mouth. Not necessarily the tastiest thing in the world, but it will help your toothache. Give it a shot. Cool?
I'm learning so much tonight.
That's what we do. That's what we
Love
do.
it.
Okay, sorry I went on the rascal
My
tip.
children are just like him. Can you imagine living with 3 of him? Yeah, that's my life on a daily.
Oh, him. Okay.
Yes.
Not me.
Yes, him.
So, who's heard of the Great Replacement Theory?
The Great Replacement Theory?
Yes.
I have not.
The Great Replacement Theory is that there is a new world order. There are people who are doing things to try to replace white people in America. So here is a graph. Liv, do you want to read it off for us? What we've got with the numbers here?
All right. So it's 1940. What is that? White? Because there's some stuff at the top of the screen on eCam that I can't see the very top.
Yeah,
of the
it's
graph.
white, Hispanic, Black, Native
Okay.
American, and Asian.
So I'm going to assume that the big one is 88.3% is white.
That is correct.
So 1.5% Hispanic,
Yep.
9.8% Black, and it looks like 0.2% Native American and Asian.
That's right. And then we go ahead and move forward now into 1970.
So 83.5% white, 4.5% Hispanic, 11% Black. Was that Native Americans 0.4, Asian is 0.8, and
Yep.
other is 0.3, whatever other would be.
Right. Moving to 1980.
79.66% white, 6.5 Hispanic, 11.5 Black, 0.6 Native American. That population seems to be going up a little bit.
Yep.
1.5 Asian and 0.3 other. That stayed the same.
Correct. 1990.
75.6 white, 9 Black, or Hispanic, 11.8 Black, 0.7 Native American, 2.8 Asian, and 0.1% other.
Watch this.
Okay, 69.1% white, 12.6 Hispanic, 12.1 Black, 0.7 Asian, Native American,
Yep.
3.6 is Asian,
Yep.
1.6 is 2 or more, 0.1 Pacific Islander, and 0.2 other.
Yep. Now, here we go. You start seeing the trend.
63.7 is white, 16.3 Hispanic, 12.2 Black, 0.7 Native American, 4.7 Asian,
Look at that Asian population increase. Isn't that crazy?
1.9 2 or more, 0.2 Pacific Islander, and 0.2 other. What's
And-
2 or more?
I was about to say they snuck that in there in
It's
2000.
Multiracial
Okay, got it.
or multi-ethnic.
Got it.
Look at that.
2020, 57.8 white, 18.7 Hispanic, 12.1 Black, 0.7 Native American. That's going to stay in flat.
Yep.
5.9 Asian, 4.1 2 or more,
Aha.
and 0.2 Pacific Islander, and 0.5 other.
So, when you see this graph, what does it tell you? Is there a great replacement theory taking place? Are white people being systematically annihilated? Are they dying? Are they? What's happening? Why are more white people? Why are the numbers going down? There's less white people than there were. Does anyone have an idea outside that there's this giant new world order that is ultimately replacing us because white people are evil. Olivia, what do you think?
I'm going to, well, one, with the Hispanic population growing, it's, especially recently with the borders open. But I'm going to assume it has something to do with the census, and the census started being equal.
No.
Nope. Okay.
Nope. That's a great point. But actually, the census is even more imbalanced than it's ever been because they can't ask illegals if this is the Constitution. They did this right before the 2020 census. They can't ask illegals their ethnicity and if their status of being legal or illegal.
That's so stupid.
Well, no, it's not, because it's the right to privacy. And the United States government, without a warrant or without some sort of due process, have no right to ask you what your race, color, creed, sexual disposition, or whatever is. So, although I disagree with it, because the answer is, are you legal? Have a nice fucking day. Are you illegal? Put your hands behind your back. You're getting deported. That is without due process. And even though you're not an American and you don't have the same rights while you're on U.S. soil, you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's anyone. That's why children who are born here, naturalized through their parents, whether you agree with it or not, that's the truth. You can go ahead and tell me the Constitution and what it says, and I'll recite it to you, and I'll tell you why you're wrong. If you are born in the United States on U.S. soil, you are an American citizen. That is just the way it is, no matter the ethnicity of your parents, whether they are Iranian and Russian. Okay? Doesn't matter. You're a U.S. citizen. So, any other thoughts? Mike, do you have a thought? Are we being replaced?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I don't believe we're being replaced. I think there was, in the early 2000s, correct me if I'm wrong, two points here. Anchor Baby, like you just said. And then second, I saw them increase the amount of categories on the graph. So when you increase the categories, you're going to shift people around, pull them from one group to the other. Doesn't mean they don't exist anymore, right?
I have another theory as well.
Go ahead. Give me another theory.
Interracial marriages.
More mixed marriages. That's the number one. Is acceptance of different colors, race, colors, and creeds become a societal norm. And sociologically speaking, with that, you will have, and the interesting thing is that you can't get whiter, but you can get browner, and you can get blacker, and you can get more yellow, and you can get more red. That's just the way it is.
Jane had an interesting thought.
Do you understand what I just said?
Yes, I do.
You can't get whiter. Because once you have Mexican blood in you, it's generations to remove that from an aesthetic appearance in your bloodline. But you can't get whiter.
Yep.
So when you mix race, it's not that whites are being replaced. It's just that whites are dropping out of that category and becoming Mexican or African American or Indian, Native American. And that is accurate. What's your next comment?
Or a thought
Sure.
is with all this DEI hiring and scholarships and stuff like that,
Right.
people are going like me. I'm Hispanic. I'm
Right.
part Hispanic. I have
Yep.
never claimed to be Hispanic on anything. I am
Truth.
white. It's all these people going, wait a second, I want that scholarship and I'm 25% Hispanic. I'm going to claim I'm Hispanic.
That is
and
right.
people are changing their ethnicity because they want to be considered that, so they have equal opportunity to get that scholarship or to get that money for college or to get that job. And that's what they're doing, I think. Also, Jane had a good thought, was people doing the DNA kits and finding out their ethnicity. People could be like, holy cow, I had no idea. Like, we found out that, Leroy's our brown brother now. So people are changing their ethnicity.
He's our Muslim brother.
Exactly. That they're changing, how they identify, because they're like, wow, I had no idea that I had, this in me and blah, blah, blah. So that's a possibility as well. So
Mike, what else?
Yeah, there's a great point. So 6888, the movie on Netflix that y'all recommended last night. I watched it. Phenomenal. Would recommend it to anyone watching right now. But there's a great scene right there around the beginning. They're going to Europe, I believe. They're on a train ride. And there was a Hispanic mix lady that was on the train ride. This is not a spoiler, by the way. And one of the officers come in. He's a white officer and says, everybody get off the train. And he goes to the black women and he says, not y'all, just the white women. And then he looks at the mixed race Hispanic lady who's sitting with the black women. And he says, you can come. Something along the lines. And she looks up. She's like, Why? Because I look white. It's just very interesting that she stayed, and I'm very happy that they put that in the movie first and foremost. But she stayed with the people who were looked down upon. Whether or not that was a true story, I think that goes to show what Olivia is talking about here. People are going to claim a category if you give them a benefit to do so, and I get it.
It's a matter of fact. Now, Joanne made a comment, and it's a good one. She said, "No other country allows that if you're born on that soil to gain citizenship to that country, and no other country can you become a citizen of that country, and you are also named that. So, for instance, if you are from Africa and you go to Germany and become a citizen, you're not a German, you're African. If you go to Russia, you're not a Russian, you're wherever you came from. If you're from Sweden and you go to China, you're not Chinese, you're Swedish. The United States is the only place in the world where you gain citizenship and you become an American. That's number one. And the founding fathers did that on purpose. And the reason why is because they knew that if we would not allow the offspring of a family coming here who were pregnant or had children, and we would not give them citizenship and we would make them wait, how is that going to be possible? You can't bring the baby into the country. So what are you going to do? Sail across the channel again and go ahead and drop them off in Europe and then come to America and then apply for citizenship? So they knew that having a child born in the United States, that pregnant women would come here. And when that child was born, they would gain citizenship. That is the true bearing of why we are a country and why we believe in legal migration and immigration to our country. And that's why they did it. So you're absolutely right. Other countries don't do that. And that's why we're the freest place on earth where everybody wants to come to. And the only people who don't are stupid Australians who actually just want to give up their freedoms, and English because they're bitter because we kicked their asses all over the place in 1776. So America, fuck them. So that's really why they do that. Now, on the other hand, I'm going to move to the next. Here's what we don't want. And if you don't want this for America, you're now a racist. If you believe Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk had mentioned some things in regard to the visa program, how Americans essentially are not the best and brightest when it comes to technology and data programming, electrical engineering, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what? Here's the harsh truth. He's right. And they believe that you should bring the best and brightest from other countries into our country. Now, I'm not going to disagree. But if our goal is to, Elon, just bear with me here because I know you don't know who I am and you don't listen to my stuff. But I have a question that nobody else will ask you because nobody else actually takes the time to consider your thoughts and listen to them and then provide a counter argument, which is thoughtful. I agree with you that we need to take the best and brightest, but when we take the best and brightest from these countries, and your job as Doji czar is to cut spending, how does taking the top 2% of everyone else's country going to help those countries get better? And second, that means there's only one way we do, by throwing more money at them. How does that save the United States money? By taking the best and brightest. Wouldn't it be better to have these people stay in their country, make their country better, leave their country and come here with an established business, with an established trade? Wouldn't that do more good for us than stealing other countries' best and brightest? That's my question to Elon Musk. What we don't want, and what we're finding out on Twitter, is that if you speak out against this, that they are suspending accounts. Now, does that mean that is 100% the case and what's happening? No, the new algorithm is hitting people who are absolutely out of control, saying some pretty terrible things, and they want to clean up their channel. But we also don't want our country looking like this.
Seriously.
Okay? Look at this. This is in India. So we can sit here and pretend that mass exodus is not taking place and destroying Europe. It is. And it's going to do the same here. So when we ask ourselves a question, are white people being replaced from a overall demographic standpoint? The answer is no. There are a shite ton more white people than any other race, and to let you know, we would have to almost double our population to allow any minority to even get close to white people. But will we continue to dwindle overall white numbers? Sure. Until we start having kids again and stop aborting them, we're pretty much stuck. But once again, you can't get whiter. So when a black person aborts a baby, but then they have a baby 5 years later, it's still going to be a black child, and that's going to count towards the number. When a white person marries a black person or a Hispanic person, therefore white is taken out of it. And that child and that mother will then take that and remove that from the white column. So you're going to see some natural attrition. But the question is, are we seeing from a culture standpoint that there is a great replacement theory in regards to white culture? And here is the question that I've set up for all y'all. I asked my daughter, I said, honey, have you ever heard anyone say black pride in your school? And she's like, all the time. What about brown pride? She's like, one of the kids was wearing a shirt that said brown pride and it had the Mexican flag on the back. And he said, what about yellow pride? And she's like, no, you don't call Asian people yellow. I'm like, oh, is that racist? I'm sorry. So what do you call them? What do you call them? Egg foo young? Chinese palace? Or what do you say? Dip fam do? And so she was explaining to me that you could say Asian pride. And I said, okay. I said, honey, do me a favor. The next time you're in one of those classes, can you go ahead and say white pride for me? And she goes, I shit you not. She's like, not on your fucking life. No way. If I are you trying to get me killed and shot? So the question is, why can't we say white pride? Now, first of all, I think any pride in your race is just stupid. That's like saying, I want to go ahead and celebrate my eye color. It's just dumb. You had no control of where you were born. You had no control of your skin color or what size Johnson you have or how tall you are. So I think it's stupid to celebrate, but I think it's important to recognize your culture. The question is, why can we say brown pride, black pride, but we can't say white pride or be a white nationalist or a Christian nationalist or whatever it is? Tell me.
Stigmatism. And also the three-letter industry, or whatever you want to call it, that starts with K and ends with K and has a K in the middle. They didn't really do a good job allowing people to say white pride because it sounds very similar to the other white P word. You know what I mean? I don't want to say it. It's a little uncomfortable. I think it's the stigmatism, though, definitely. Yeah,
but the Black Panthers said black pride, and they were a racist group. And no, they weren't. They were fighting for their civil justice. No, they weren't. They were a militant group. They didn't like white people. They weren't big fans of Jews. Give me a break, okay? They were black Nazis. They may not have done the level of damage that the Nazi party did, but they didn't like Jews. They were predominantly Muslim. Give me a break. So nobody cares about that. I mean, you can do this all day, but you can't do this. Why? This is a question and a hypothetical, not because I want to go ahead and start doing the single-handed salute. I'm asking a question.
Right.
Yes, it's a stigmatism. I agree with you. But there are other things in history that also have stigmatisms that nobody cares about and have moved on from. Why is that? Can we nail that? Let's really get honest and not be afraid about being canceled. And why is it that we can ignore black history, brown history, yellow history, red history, and say, no, we don't care that the Indians raped white people and raped white women and beheaded people in their battles and in their counting coup.
Stole their children.
And stole their children. We're not going to we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the blankets with yellow fever and typhoid attached to them and us obliterating 91% of their population. But we can't talk about what the Native Americans did. We have to move on. Why? Why do we hold white people to a different standard than we hold blacks, reds, yellows, and every other color? There's the question.
That I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I wish it wasn't.
You don't want to say it. You don't want to say it. That's the problem. People are afraid to say it.
No, I don't.
Wow.
Then let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's figure out what it is. Do you agree that that is true, what I just said?
Yes.
Okay. So if it's true, do you feel that way?
No, I don't care.
Right. I don't care either. So I don't sit around and go, oh, those damn engines. I swear them and their fire water. I'm going to find some of them sons of bitches. I'm going to pay them back in spades. No, I don't sit there and do that when I see an Indian. I don't feel that way with a black person. I don't feel that way with a Jew, a Catholic, a Presbyterian, a Mormon. Well, maybe Mormons. But everybody else, I don't feel that way. But we're trying to, from a societal and sociological perspective, trying to identify why people are so afraid to hold other races accountable for their indiscretions if you're going to hold it against us, or why we can't let it go and not hold it against anybody. So the question, that's not going to happen. So why do we do that and play the victim and go, that's right, we're a bunch of slave owner KKK members from the South. We're a bunch of rednecks and we hate all black people and we're xenophobic and race. Why do we allow that shit to take place and not say, hey, I like white people and I like my culture and there's no problem about that? Mike, you want to take a stab?
Is it because we've either, well, have
Just
we
say
moved
it.
past it as white people? Have we just moved past and been like, dude, this is pointless. We're people. No?
No, because we wouldn't still do it. We still wouldn't placate it. We would be able to say, hey, let's have white pride. Let's have pride in our whiteness. Let's celebrate. We would get pissed off if they, like James Bond. I don't like the English. But we've been watching James Bond for 50 years in my house. And I'm sorry, James Bond is a white Englishman. And if they make him black, I'm never going to watch James Bond again. And it's not because he's black. It's because you had to ruin my show. Why do we tolerate it? There, Dane said it, fear. Go figure the foreigner gets it.
Thank you, Dane.
Fear. And there's one other feeling that we have.
It's the whole white fragility movement.
There's another.
Guilt.
There's another. There it is. Guilt. Wait, that is turned into pity, and we feel they're inferior.
Ooh,
that is the
ouch.
truth. That's the truth. And it's not my feeling, and it's not Olivia's feeling, it's not Mike's feeling, but that's are the people who have white guilt. They feel that black people cannot move forward with their indiscretions, with their inequity, and they must be pitied, and they must be ashamed for them because they're incapable of feeling it themselves. That is the truth. And that is what is going to destroy our country. It's what's going to destroy white people. It will destroy black people. It will destroy brown people because empathy is a very different thing than pity.
It's like on the bounds that, having to require a driver's license or a government ID.
Right. You're too
to
stupid to
vote
get one yourself.
Because
you're too stupid.
the black people are too stupid to
You're
get a
too
driver's license.
You're too dumb to get your own driver's license.
Exactly.
So you can't do it.
So
You're
it's
too dumb
racist.
to figure it out. So we've got to go ahead and pity you and create legislation to go ahead and protect you from your own stupidity.
Let me share a nice, very wise statement that Homer actually taught me that it was for me going through a personal relationship, but it can apply here. In my opinion, it can. He said, Mike, you cannot pity someone and love them at the same time.
Agreed.
It took me forever to figure that one out because I was pitying my last girlfriend and I thought it was love. And they are very similar. They're very similar, but there is a difference. And I think you two are hitting on it right here tonight. And I'm not going to hit you with some hippy divvy, bullshit like that. That's not what I'm here for. But I do think if you just loved on people, none of this would be a conversation.
I agree.
That's a deep though pity. Wow.
Just like you can't tax people into prosperity, you can't pity people into loving you. Homer is 100% correct. It is an amazing thought process. And why are we not talking about this? See, you've got Jake Shields and those guys questioning Jews over things like the USS Liberty or the Bolshevik Revolution. And instead of questioning something like that's actually important to question is why is AICPAC investing ungodly amounts of money into the U.S. government and buying politicians to support Israel? Would we allow it with Russia? Would we allow it with Poland? Would we allow it with China? Well, why do we allow it with Israel? Because they're our greatest ally. Wait a second. Because I'm pro-Jew. You might as well call me a Zionist, because I believe Israel has a right to be their own sovereign state, and they should be protected as much as Saudi Arabia and Egypt and everyone else. But a lot of those countries conduct terrorist acts. Therefore, you must obliterate them into nothing until the terrorists are gone and eradicated. Then you can have a sovereign country. Because sovereignty is not just you protecting yourself, it's you not waging war on your neighbor. That's what sovereignty is. It's not just respecting your own sovereignty, but there's two. So when we think about this and talk about it, why isn't that the question? They ask questions like, well, why do all the Jews run the porn industry? Why do all the Jews, are they the celebrity lawyers? Why do all the Jews? Well, first of all, you can ask the same question of white CEOs for tech companies. You can ask the question of why women are in more into the fashion industry and the lotions and the more feminist type products. Why are they female CEOs? Because Jews got it figured out. As Germans may be cobblers and engineers around vehicles, they make some of the best shoes in the world. They make some of the best automobiles and engines in the world. The Japanese are fantastic at making small things in small packages because they literally live in like a 500 by 500. So they have to make small microwaves. They have to make small everything. Their technology is micro technology. They're very, very good at it. There's a reason why the United States is great at building weapons, because we have supplied the world all of its weapons. And Jews are good at money, and they're good at banks, and they're good at law. And the Chinese are good at math and engineering and going to the school of mines. Everybody, and black people are good at basketball.
And sports in general.
Humor, just a little joke. Little joke. So everybody has their own niche. So my point is, instead of talking about something as stupid as that, why don't we talk about why white people pity minorities?
Because we were told to.
That's right. And if you want racism to stop making white people have to pity minorities, because the resentment comes along with that. When you can't love somebody, you will pity them until you hate them. And that is a problem. Most black people I know are like, I can get an ID. Who cares? Why can't I don't vote anyway. I don't want to vote. The disparity between the way the government treats white people and the way they treat minorities is disproportionate. And that's not just from the good stuff, it's from the bad stuff. From handouts to disproportionate criminal justice sentencing to healthcare and overall cost of healthcare. There is disparity where the government treats them like children. Something to think about is, how do we continue to be proud to be who we are and not exclude other races from being proud about who they are, so we're not playing the race Olympics all the time. Who makes the best black film? Who makes the best white film? How about we just make the best film possible, and all that other crap we leave out? Because all we're doing is resenting each other and hating each other because of it. It's sad.
It's a cesspool of social media. It's very easy to have the, Twitter finger or trigger fingers turned into the Twitter finger statement.
Yeah.
It's, guys, once you come live on a web show or a talk show, even when you call in, it's not the same. This does tie into this conversation, I believe, Matt. It's different. You can joke all day and be a troll all day until you're here, until someone sees you for who you really are. So you better be honest, because now there's a record of it.
Yeah.
That being said, it's very easy on social media to build your groups up and then trash on somebody else's, because you don't have to see them in public, most likely, right? So it is, I don't know when the script flipped, I will say that, but why is it bad to say there are a lot of Jewish lawyers or bankers? There are.
Yeah, there
Doesn't
are.
make them good or bad.
No.
When did the stigmatism come in to make me look like I'm a terrible person? Because I'm not. I don't think I am.
Right.
Where did that part of society go? And I don't think it's ever going to come back, though, as far as just accept people. Just accept them.
So let's try to do this. Let's try to do an experiment, which is pretty innocuous, right? It's not going to be as malignant as talking about Jews in banking or black people in basketball or white people and driving, an orange Chevy over a river and yeehaw.
Hell yeah, Florida.
Or Muslims driving taxis and working at 7-Eleven.
Right, or clacking off vests in public places, right? So
I love this show.
Yeah, because you can't be like, Matt's a racist. I'm like, yeah, against white people too.
Everyone.
No one is nobody's safe.
Show.
Everyone gets it on this show.
Everyone.
I don't care what color you are. That's not racism, okay?
Or what country you're from.
Yeah, it's
Give
called,
it to y'all.
it's called, well, unless you're English. Like, English always get it. They never get a reprieve. They're just, fuck the English. So anyway, we're British. No, we're from the United Kingdom. No, we're England. Oh, it's Wales. Pick a fucking country and shut up. Nobody cares. Fucking island of fog and rain and bad teeth, small hands, smell like cabbage.
Teeth.
Terrible food, by the way.
Oh God,
Bland.
there's no such thing as English. People, what's English food? I'm like, it might as well just be boiled muskrat and frickin' cauliflower.
They call gravy
Stew?
pudding.
Oh God, English
really?
food. There's no such thing.
Yes.
It's just, might as well just grab a stone and put it in water. And here's our soup. What is it? It's rock soup. It's delicious. Oh, shitty food. I'm gonna have some English food. Some fish and chips, love.
You like some crumpets, Matt?
Fish and chips isn't English, man. Give me a fucking break. All right. Bringing it back in. So here's the point. When somebody says happy holidays, does it bother you?
I don't really care anymore. It used to, but whatever.
It has never bothered me. What bothers me is what you're saying when you're saying happy holidays. When I say Merry Christmas to you, let me ask you a question. When somebody sneezes, you say bless you or God bless you?
I used to usually say bless you.
What do you say?
Yeah. I say bless you. I say either or. I don't have a script to go off of.
I say bless you because I'm not going to demand anything of God. What if this guy's a jerk? So I'm just like, bless you, and we can, the whole bless you thing was a derivative, not from the Bible. It derived, and its etymology was from the bubonic plague. And the first signs of the plague, and it's interesting, there's two stories about the plague, which I'll just throw them out there because we digress and we'll get back to it. So suck it up and deal with it. By the way, thedumbshow.com/donate, folks. If you haven't had a chance, please do. We're running at $84. Is it $84? $94. We've got about 175 to go. Please help us out. And if you like the show and you're like, hey, this is fun. This is better than PBS. And I haven't watched Sesame Street in a while because Big Bird's now gay. And so is Mr. Snuffleupagus. And he's putting his trunk in places he shouldn't. You can go ahead and donate to thedumbshow.com/donate. So, bubonic plague took out 40% of Europe. Can you imagine? That's like Thanos just snapping his fingers in the United States. Just poof, gone, right?
Yep.
So there's two stories that come out of the plague. And one is when people would sneeze, it would be one of the first signs of the plague. And usually it would start with that. Then it started with a cough. Then it would start with coughing up blood, and then it would be dark veins and blood poisoning, and then ultimately liquefaction of your organs, and then croaking and dying, and then spreading it to the entire house and killing everyone you loved. So basically a woman. But the interesting thing about it is that people would sneeze, and you would then say, bless you. Bless you, please. May God bless you so you live. May God bless you. May God watch over you. May God protect you. Now, a lot of people say, no, that's not true. That's not true. It came from this. I don't care. I'm just letting you know a story about the bubonic plague and what happened in Middle Europe, okay? And that is ultimately the derivative of bless you. Remind me to show you where fuck you comes from, by the way.
That's funny. That's freaking
The word fuck
funny.
you or frick you. And it has to do with English longbowmen. Okay. Yes, bubonic plague is blisters, eye bleeding, nose bleeds, ear bleeds. But a sneeze, I want you to imagine that literally you're over at the Johnson's house and you're like, hey, Mick and Molly, well, how you doing? 7 hours later, the fucking blood and there are blisters and boils and liquefaction of the body, convulsions and turning black. And you're like, holy fuck, what happened to Mick and Molly? Well, there's some sort of disease going around. Oh, fuck me. And then all of a sudden your wife goes, and they're like, oh, honey, you got the sniffles. And blood and boils and shit. And they're like, oh my God. And then the man makes it out, right? And he goes over to his cousin's house. And he's like, Jonah, Marky, my family died. They're liquefied. And then his cousin goes, and he's like, oh my God, may God bless you. Please, because you can't see the rest of my family die a horrible black death. Something like that.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, Joanne. And then Bless You was born. The second thing is, we all know about the Salem witch trials, right? And, burning of women. And we totally get it because, like, if it was legal, there are times that I would totally do it. But
You're on a roll tonight.
Thank you. I love you. So, so the reason
I gotta get married one day. I'm not touching that.
Yeah. The bubonic plague was actually transferred by what? Does anybody know?
Rats?
Rodents.
Rodents, rats, predominantly rats. So rats would carry it and spread it around through the sewers and the canals, and would come up into the pantry or the cellar and infect the cheese and the ale and the bread, or the dried tobacco, right? And then farmer would tobacco, and then he would chew the tobacco after it was dried, and ultimately, okay. So that's how it was spread. Also, fleas. Fleas were massive, and the fleas would bite the rats. Fleas would get it and then bite humans. Then the rats would go ahead and they would spread it, and it would live on their skin, and they would also infect it with the food. So all these things plague vermin, basically, bloodsuckers, the worst of the worst, right? And if England saw any sunshine, probably would have been mosquitoes. But since it's a dreary, drab gray of hell, predominantly rats and fleas. Now, here's the interesting point. Why was it that more men, boys, and little girls catch it, but women did not? Yes.
I believe it has something to do with the personal hygiene of not having enough flowing water.
No,
and if the
that's not
women
it.
were in the kitchen. Okay.
Nope. Okay. First of all,
we're going somewhere here.
First of all, they're gonna be in the kitchen, so no. Okay, so that's not. It's not true. We're almost done.
I feel totally like
Olivia, do you know then? Do you know what the commonality is of why young girls, boys, and men and older men got it, but middle-aged and older women did not in those households?
I'm something along the lines of, I have no idea.
Okay, so when you think of
I
a
don't
witch,
know.
give me the 3 things that make you think of a witch. Go. Start calling it out. When you think of a Halloween witch, what do you think of? Go, call it out. First thing.
Pointy hat.
Pointy hat. Second thing.
Green skin.
What?
A broom.
A broom. Give me another thing. When they're flying around, what's on the end of the broom? Always.
A cat.
A cat. Ooh. Something middle-aged women and older women have were cats. And the cats would kill the rats. Therefore, not infecting and bringing fleas into the home, and the middle-aged and older women were then associated with dark powers. And that is where that they had some sort of impervious nature, and where the cat was synonymous with witches. And this is how, not just how it began, but how it was reinforced that women are evil and demonic and have dark powers, and the cat is associated with witches. And that is why.
It's amazing. I just how stupid people were back then.
Yeah,
I
well,
know, just
as
ignorant.
you
They
say
knew
that with a
nothing.
cat over your shoulder,
Yeah,
and Mike and I are bleeding through our eyeballs, and you're like, it's fine.
Yeah, that's funny, but still, I mean, it's
Maybe a
amazing.
pursuit,
I mean,
Matt.
I understand it's ignorance, and they didn't really know a lot back then, but still, it's amazing.
No,
but-
it's completely stupid, but it makes sense and it's interesting. Listen, if you guys, I don't like him very much. I hate his politics, but Neil Tyson deGrasse is a genius, and his stories are fantastic. If you have not listened to him, you should. And I learned so much from him. Thank you, Kat. You're a godsend. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Kat.
So anyway, something to think about, something to understand, is when we're talking about this type of stuff, and we're talking about folklore and legends and why we feel the way we do, it's not because we actually feel that way. It's because we've been told, Chevelle, thank you, hon. We've been told to feel that way. We've been trained to feel that way. And it's something that we need to understand. And when you start to understand the etymology of things, and it's not just for the derivative of names, but the etymology is like the beginning. It's the fabric and the sinew that get us to point A to point B. It's the genealogy. It's the hierarchy. It's the road that's been traveled to get us to the end destination. That's not just symbolic with life and everything else, but it's how we learn. Because I promise you this, if you take a black child and a white child and a brown child and a yellow child and a red child, and you stick them all in a room, and you give them sustenance and you give them all this other type of stuff, and you outside influence them to nothing, the stereotypes that they have will be created by themselves and not from any outside influence. And in their DNA, they will not hate black people for any other reason than they're just a dick. Or maybe they steal their bottle, or they pull their hair at nap time. And that is what is known as experiential learning. Most of us have no experiential learning when it comes to Muslims or Jews or Catholics or blacks or red or yellow or transgender or gay or straight. And what we do is we have anecdotal experience, which helps us formulate opinion that's been reinforced by what we're taught. So if you want to stop racism, stop fucking talking about it.
Amen.
Let people hate people based upon their merit. Success and hate both should be based on meritocracy.
Yep.
Not because somebody told you to hate somebody. Because I know a lot of Pakistanis who are great people, Afghanis who are great people. I know a lot of Hindus, Indians. I know Russians, Ukrainians, Chinese. I know there's not a continent that I don't have some friend on. I think I've been friends with every religion that there is. I even knew a guy who was a Satanist who read the Necronomicon, for God's sakes. I wouldn't call him a friend, but at least I can have a conversation with the guy. If you want to learn things, don't acquire it. Learn. Get out there. Experiential learning. Because anecdotal-based learning is stereotypical, and it's using somebody else's experience and claiming them as your own. It's weak-minded. Pussy. Mike, you want to put a bow on that, or you want to shift gears?
Shift the gears, bud, because I can't beat what you
The
just
Dumb
said.
Store
Other
is
than
veteran-owned with
Yes.
a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction.
God, I
we
like
offer
having a mic
quality
here.
products
Olivia's not gonna like this
coffee,
next part.
Shirts, hoodies, and hats,
Yes.
all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUMB10 to save 10%. Visit thedumbshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
What you can't get is the Liberal Tears mug, which I think I'm gonna make it. But it's got the nutritional facts here, and like 10% socialism, 10% crybaby, 5% DEI hire. This was sent to me by Leroy as my Christmas gift. And I got it. There was no note.
Nice.
Thanks, Leroy. We didn't know who it was from, but we thank you as my Liberal Tears cup is officially here. Let's see if it's still cold. It's a little salty.
Firewater.
Holy shit. Paul Rivera says, Matt, F-U-C-K, for unlawful carnal knowledge. The story I learned was people in stocks for rape were labeled with this. It goes back further than that. I'll give you a hint. Pluck you.
I know this one.
Pluck you. Do you want to hear the story? Do you know it, Mike?
I know it.
Tell us the story, Mike.
So the longbowmen. So the longbowmen in England, they were so effective that somebody cut off their ability to shoot the longbow.
But you can't shoot a longbow because it's a 3-finger pole.
Very high weight, too. You need every bit of strength.
You need that middle finger.
Do you know the...
You didn't finish it. Did you didn't finish the story?
Yeah, you finish it. Yeah.
Okay, so in order to draw back a longbow, which they had ungodly range, and short bows were used, and imperial bows were used. None of them were fantastic. The longbowmen were essentially snipers, and they could hit targets, almost 150 yards away and longer. I mean, we're talking deadly accuracy. And the only thing that limited their ability was how much they could draw back on the bow and elevation. They're deadly devices. And the English were killing tons of Moors, tons of Welsh, tons of uprising elements throughout Europe. And as the longbowmen were executing their vengeance against imperialistic armies who wanted to take the homeland of England, and they were dishing out death from above, occasionally longbowmen would fall because cavalry or mounted cavalry would fall, and infantry would fall, and therefore the bowmen would lay down their bows and be taken as captive. The archers, right? And when you went ahead and you took these archers captive, the Moors or the empirical, war fighters of the time that were opposing England would cut off their middle finger, because you need 3 fingers, and you can't draw a longbow like that, and you can't draw a longbow like that. So you take their middle finger on their draw hand, which is their dominant right. So, as they would let them back into society of removing their middle fingers on both hands, because they would no longer be able to fight, and then holding a sword is also difficult, they would send them back to England. And as the stories came across, the English were also known, and the longbowmen were known as pluckers. So as they went ahead and they went to the battlefield, and the longbowmen would send a volley of arrows into the confronting imperialistic dogs of hell and kill them by mass, they would show their finger in protest to the opposing army and say the words, "Pluck you." And over time, with the German word frickin', which turned into fuck, which turned into fuck you, is a sign of flipping somebody off and giving them the finger. There it is.
You are full of useless information.
It's not useless.
That's useful.
Carries the show. Here is a video which is going to bother Olivia. It's going to bother me. It's not designed. We had some fun stories, but thank you so much, Dawn. You're the best. Here is a story that is not going to be good. Mom, I know. Baby passes away after her mother left her alone for 10 days while she was on vacation.
I heard about this. I actually
Vacation.
heard about this.
Here is the video. Discretion advised. It's heart-wrenching, and we're showing it because people suck.
A baby has died after being left alone while her mother vacationed in Puerto Rico, detectives say.
With no food, maybe milk, the clothing she had on, and the diaper she was wearing.
Police in Cleveland, Ohio say the 16-month-old had been left in her crib for 11 days.
This baby loved her mother, she needed her mother, and her mother betrayed her.
The baby's mother, Crystal Candelario, has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for her actions.
This is probably one of the most difficult, horrific cases to listen to hear, and to see.
At Candelario's sentencing, she spoke using a translator.
Le pido perdón a Dios y a mi hija.
I ask forgiveness from God and from my daughter, Kaylee.
Her defense attorney believes mental health played a factor in her decisions.
Mental health, my fucking ass. That is fucking just pure selfishness. To be honest, you want to know what her sentence should be? Lock her in her jail cell and don't feed her for 16 fucking days and see how she likes it and let her die.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. She's
You got to do
a piece-
3. You got to do 3 weeks.
She's a piece of fucking shit, and she deserves to burn in hell forever. She doesn't deserve to live for another day, in my opinion. Put her in a room with me for 2 minutes, and we'll see how she likes it. Just sorry, friggin' nope.
It's a little bit of information. The human body can survive without air for 3 minutes. The brain, 3 minutes, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So make it 28 days just to be sure.
Yeah, she also needs to be wearing a diaper, and she can't change it. Just how that little girl felt. Friggin', she's the same age that the little boy I nanny for was when I started nanny for him.
I know.
I mean, just no.
It's unacceptable. And it's like there was a time that if this was 1950 and someone did that, that person would no longer be taking air.
No.
But we've just mental health. Who cares?
It's a cop out.
Then she's a danger. She's a danger. And if she's a danger, you need to remove it from society. Since when do we allow wolves into the herd and try to rehabilitate the wolf versus putting the wolf down? Mike, you're not a parent, but to me it makes me sick. I take things like this and I try to add humor. Your thoughts on this, obviously, which are going to be similar, outrage, but I'd like to get your thoughts.
I wanted to go as far as I possibly could coming on this show without saying it, but fuck her.
Amen.
I find it very difficult. I will have to go talk to someone about how to pray to how to love somebody like that, but I don't have it right now. I am not strong enough. That pisses me off. And I'm so tired of hearing about life in prison on terrible crimes. Thank you, Mel. I'm so tired about hearing this crap to where someone gets life in prison until we forget about it in 25 years. We're going to find out she's going to get let go because of what? Good activities in prison. That is a child. And that is in the Bible.
Yeah.
You don't mess with the little ones, people. And negligence as a parent, and you want to choose mental health. My mental health is hurting right now because I just had to watch that shit. Yeah. Part of my French. That is upsetting. And that's all I'm going to say on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she deserves everything that's coming to her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Be right back.
Join WimKen.com, the social media platform built for free speech and true connection. No censorship, no algorithms controlling your feed, just genuine conversations and a commitment to protecting your rights. Sign up today at WimKen.com and take back your voice. Tell them Matt and the Dumb Show sent you.
And our first F word from Mike. We're very excited about this. We don't know how to take it, but we're very, very pumped up. And listen, this show, we don't cover things to make people feel sad or angry, but this is what's going on in the world, and nobody else is covering it. You got to cover this stuff. You got to talk about these things. You have to recognize that mental health is a serious. And listen, I'm a proponent for giving everyone an opportunity with mental health issues. And I know a lot of vets, and I've helped a ton of vets through this type of stuff. But you don't sit here and compare mental health to someone who is psychotic. There's a difference. That person is knuckin' futs.
As someone who has suffered from mental health issues and depression and had postpartum after both of my children, especially after Ethan, never once in my mind did it cross that I was going to hurt my children.
Yep. Somebody's calling. We got to get to it. Who's on the phone?
It's Canada. Merry Christmas.
Hi.
Happy New Year.
Hey, Mel.
Hey, Mel. We had another
Hey, Mel.
person call too from a 425. Hey, 425, call us back and we'll be happy to talk to you. But we're going to take a couple minutes with Mel and then you can call back whoever it is. Go ahead, Mel.
The Susan Smith, this individual, all these people that keep claiming mental health issues should all go to fucking hell. This excuse of mental health really has to be stricken out of all the law, whatever. Yes, there are exceptional cases where, yes, mental health does whatever, but every case that you see on all the whatever, TV, whatever you listen to, whatever, the excuse from the lawyers, and that's their go-to, whatever, mental health. Same as this one that lit that poor homeless person on the subway in New York on fire and sat there and watched her burn. And now he suffers from mental health. Well, he was already deported. The mental health excuse has got to be stricken, and it's got to be substantiated in court by more than 4 people, like whatever, that this person is really like absolutely crazy, because this excuse has gone on far too long in the last 8 years, and it's got to cease, because that's no excuse. The Susan Smith and this thing with that poor little baby. Oh my God. Like, yes. And Olivia, I agree with you. Yes. After your birth of your children, you do this mode and you're like, oh my God, what the hell did I just do? Whatever. And it's tiring and exhausting and it's everything that you really did, whatever. But I would never have contemplated, never, even in the darkest depths of where I was, to do that to my child. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I can't fathom that degenerate. Like, that's just, you're sick. Like, you're just, yeah. You should have your
There's no rehabilitation from that, right?
No, and her and the Susan Smiths, when they have whatever, as soon as they go to whatever, they should be automatically castrated. Like that, take their parts out. Like, you're done. So
Sterilize
even in
them.
prison, Susan Smith is doing all her whatever and screwing guards and whatever. These people should be chemically castrated, just like it was back in the day with the pedophiles that were incarcerated, whatever. They got chemically castrated. So should all these females. You're convicted of this heinous crime.
Yeah.
Take all your parts out and, well, yeah, maybe if you heal, fine. If you don't, whatever. And put this other thing in solitary confinement for 16 months. For every hour that child suffered, put her in solitary for exactly the same amount of time, without food and water, no bathroom, like no whatever, no diapers, no nothing, and see how long she lasts, and see what the begging is going to be. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, like that sounds horrible, but I'm sick and tired of this empathetic bullshit. Oh, well, they can be rehabilitated. No, they fucking can't. If you can do that to your child or your children, there is no rehabilitation, because, like I said, Olivia knows, I know, anybody who's been a parent, a mom, knows, yes, it gets to be really, really hard and bad, but I would never, never one thought have done that to my child. Never in a million fucking years. Never. And I'll descend on that. But yeah, never.
Mel, hang
one
tight.
thought.
Can you mute your phone real quick? Whoever's on the other line. Sorry, Mel, we're getting some feedback here. I apologize. Whoever's on the other line, go ahead. You had a comment?
I do.
Go ahead.
Hey, it's Frank from North Carolina.
Hi,
Hey,
Frank
Frank.
from North Carolina.
Hey,
Mel's
Frank.
on the phone too. Say hi to Mel.
Hey, Mel.
Hi, Frank.
Totally agree. I totally agree with you, babe. You are right on. These
Frank.
people do not. I'm gonna go one step further than Mel. Screw the castration. These people need to have a bullet put in the back of their head.
Whoa,
now
okay,
that
okay.
may sound
Whoa, Frank,
strong.
Frank. You're gonna get our show. You're gonna get our show turned off. You can't
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, you
can't do that.
gotta have
Yeah.
some
I'm
discretion. That's okay, some discretion, but there's some things you can't threaten anybody on this show. So for you, hold on, let me fix this. YouTube, who just came on, please understand Frank was talking completely hypothetical and has no ill intent towards anybody. Go ahead, Frank.
Oh no, absolutely. I do not want anybody to be hurt. I just think that these people are they're beyond retribution. They are beyond help. They have nothing left in life. They're scum. And we have to find a way to deal with people like this. I think back in the old days, people like this were dealt with publicly.
Right.
And maybe that's what we need to go back to. I don't know. I could be wrong. And by the way, while I'm on here, Mike, welcome to the show. Love you, brother.
Thanks, Frank. And you're from a great state, man. My home state. Love it.
I don't know if he's from Georgia.
No, he said North Carolina. That's where I'm from.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I didn't know your home state was North
I just live in
Carolina.
Georgia. No, yeah.
You just, I get it. I understand
dude.
people travel.
Fort Bragg is in my backyard. I listen to artillery fire all the time.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell both of you, I appreciate you guys calling in. I hope you had a great Christmas. And Mel, we appreciate the donation. Frank, everything you do for us. I've got to get to some cool 6th generation Chinese fighters that are barely 4.5 generation. And we're going to talk about this. I think you guys might enjoy this. So why don't you guys watch away and tell us what you think. Cool?
You know, I think I'm the complete opposite of this mom. When we went away for 3 days for your work event, I wrote like a 10-page essay for my mom that was coming out to watch them about like every second of their day.
Yeah.
I was horrible. I mean, we would go on a date and I would write a full page to the babysitter.
We would go out on a date and we would come home after an hour because we missed our kids.
That's not horrible. That's because we were raised right.
Thanks, buddy. Go ahead, Mel.
Love you guys.
Love you
Love
too,
you, Mel.
buddy.
Thanks.
Talk to you, Mel.
Thanks for the yummy food.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for the yummy food. It's been awesome. We had the apple caramel apple things last night. They were so good.
Oh, delicious.
I'm jealous.
Oh, right on.
So good.
Go do another workout.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is that I've been really hitting the weights hard and feeling great. So it didn't hurt me too bad to have it. But man, it's so good. But that's why I love working out, is because I can eat shit like that and use it for tackling fuel. All right.
Tackling fuel.
Talk to you guys in a bit. See ya. Love you. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye, Frank. I love them.
Thank you, sir, Dr. Lynch.
Dr. Lynch, thank you for doing. Your son cussed, Dr. Lynch. He said the F word.
He needs his mouth washed out with soap.
I told him to stop.
I actually texted both of them. I said, I'm sorry for the F word. I don't mind about the other ones, but that video upset me.
I understand. I told you.
We're allowed to be upset.
Well, we are allowed to be upset. I want to show you guys a video. I want to break it down for you. Hopefully this isn't boring. I don't think it will be because there's a lot of information. We're going to cover a couple things. There's been some plane situations happening. First is a viewer sent this in to me. It's all over the internet. And I wanted to show it to you. And he said, hey, Matt, would you break this down? Because I have some questions that it looks... And I don't have the email. I don't remember. Well, maybe I do. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it by a quick search, and I can read it to you. I got it right before Christmas. I can't find it. A longtime viewer sent it and said, hey, watch this. It looks a little funky. I'm kind of questioning the overall legitimacy of this video. I will tell you this video is 100% correct, and it is 100% real and not fabricated. I've broken it down for you, and let's go ahead and watch it. This is a building in Russia, predominantly, like most high rises, a glass structure. Let's watch it in real time, and then we'll break it down slow. All right, so a couple of things is you're going to hear, we're going to break down the sound, we're going to break down the explosion, and we're going to break down why it didn't go through the building and bring it down. Because people think if a plane hits a building, first of all, the World Trade Centers were hit with single-engine civilian aircraft several times and did not get brought down. There is a very big difference between a civilian engine and speed and a jetliner full of JP5, JP7, depending on what it is, jet fuel. Burns differently. The amount of velocity that those aircraft had, all the angle, the hollowed out building in the center, all made an impact. This is a surface scratch for something that did not penetrate because of its design. First of all, that's not a plane. So anyone that says it's a plane is incorrect. And I'll break it down for you in a couple of different ways. But the first thing is I have already identified the aircraft, and there it is. It is a drone. It is not a plane. That is the profile. It has an outswept back wing, which obviously is foldable when you are have these things on the ground. But they are a drone-based aircraft. High velocity, very similar to this, but not quite. This is a much smaller version. And I can break down for you exactly what it is so you understand. Here is the specs on it, and I'll read it to you just so you have it after a little bit of research. This is the Bayraktar TB2, which I knew by the video and the pictures. Let me show you this real quick. And play this video so you've got something in the background while I talk. Surprisingly enough, the TB2 is actually Turkish made. And it's predominantly used for, and let's see if Olivia listens to me, it's predominantly used for ISR. And Olivia, what does ISR stand for, my beautiful tulip?
Something surveillance, reconnaissance, or something like that.
Intelligence or imagery, surveillance, and reconnaissance. That's correct.
So I got the SR.
You did very, very well. You did very well. I'm very proud of you. So it's predominantly used for ISR, and it is also secondary mission is for independent and extremely accurate precision strikes. It is GPS assisted, radar assisted, infrared technology, has optic lens technology, which can use multiple facets for target acquisition. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, Matt, before you get into all that, can you please explain to me why this looks like it goes behind the building? Let's take a look. You see that?
Yep, because it blends into the building.
It's because it blends
the same
in.
color. Does it look like there's already like a hole or something in that building?
It certainly does. Take a look.
And this was in Russia?
Yeah. So what happened?
It looks like an intentional blast shield. To be, it almost looks
I'm just
like it was
curious as
done
why there's a
to.
hole.
Yeah, it's almost like the hole was already there, and then they send this thing in afterwards to prevent catastrophic damage to the entire building. Was this like a precision strike on purpose?
How about this? How about it's a second strike? So the first strike wasn't captured, and then someone starts record. Why would you record that building? What's happening to that building unless there was already a strike?
Because it looks like there's smoke coming out of that hole.
That is correct, and it's a secondary strike, guys. That's why. So a lot of people are like, "What is that dark shade?" Well, this is a multiple strike because then look at the second impact zone. It blows out that top left window. That run of glass. And it hits right below that other one. So this is a multiple strike. I think you're going to find out from intelligence reports that this was hit multiple times.
What is that building anyway?
It doesn't matter. So not yet. Doesn't matter yet. So we're just trying to get to it. So what you could have had is the first impact did not detonate properly because that right there is a mixture of gas and also a primary explosion because we're going to break down the sound. Okay, listen. Okay, so listen carefully. Listen. Everyone break it down. Close your eyes and listen.
Okay. They're like 3 shots before
It's
in a
not
big
shots.
explosion.
It's not shots.
What are they?
Depending upon the type of explosive you're using, explosions move in different sound waves. And you have very fast, high volatile explosives that essentially push through an object and move it. Then you have explosive like Anfro or TNT, or even some sort of nitrate-based explosive, which moves in a longer waves and tears. So this is pretty standard profile for a smaller explosion, more not contained, but an explosive, probably military-grade explosive, that is designed to explode on proximity or impact. And what you're hearing are the echoes. Listen again. And then you hear the gas explosion, which is a much slower based explosion, not as fast. So the ripping you're hearing, that pop, 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 is multiple explosives going off, and then a gas explosion or JP5 explosion from a tank and the explosive rupturing as well from impact. Listen to it again. And you're not going to hear necessarily as many echoes from that. It's a very slow-moving explosion. Listen again. So you're hearing multiple things. You're hearing drone hitting building, simultaneous explosions going off, which are going to be some form of military-grade explosive. And then you're hearing the overall tank going and rupturing under pressure of the actual fuel of the vehicle. That building was hit before, I guarantee it. This was a secondary strike. And what you're hearing are explosions and echoes because of multiple explosions going off, and they are very fast moving. They report quicker. I'm going to show you another thing. Watch the initial explosion and watch how long it takes for the gas explosion to get there. Ready? Watch how they report at different rates.
Okay, there's one.
The first one reported almost immediately because it's a very fast moving explosive. Okay, and it doesn't matter. It's military grade, whatever it would be. You have Semtex, you have C4, you've got multiple variations that are fast-moving explosives. Then watch how the explosion, the fireball or gas tank going off, how it reports.
Oh, I saw the 2 different explosions.
That's correct. That's correct. So you see 2 different explosions. One is very controlled, very bright, very fast moving, and then you saw a plume above, but the slower moving gas explosion, jet fuel explosion, did not report as fast because it's not moving as fast. If you take a look at how those things move and you look at the overall speed and propensity of speed for a gas explosion versus a controlled explosion with some sort of controlled explosive, they're very different. So that's what you're seeing. Is it fake? No. Is it real? Yes. Does it look real? No. And the reason it doesn't look real is because of the echoes, because of the multiple explosions, because you have a dark shade here. People say that it's some sort of CGI. And because you see literally the drone go behind the building, which also happened in the 9/11 videos. If you watch the second plane hitting, there's a point where it looks like it flies in front of a church. Refraction causes a lot of things to happen. If you've ever exited a C-17, okay, and it opens up its back lift, if you're in the back of the plane, people walking up to you, it's so damn bright that they will look like skinny aliens. And then the closer that they get, their refraction stops going around them and their form fills out. If anyone has ever seen something walking into a bright light, this is normal for people who've seen it, especially on film, is that person will shrink and then become nothing but a skinny anorexic black blob. That's refraction. So when you change the overall refractive nature of light against a dark background to a dark background going to a dark background, there is not enough definition in this video, and it's not a high enough resolution to actually see, and the camera fails to pick up the plane. Do you understand? It's an optical illusion.
What did you do?
That's it. Okay?
Matt, I have one question on this.
Sure.
Right at the bottom of the screen right there, I saw, I don't know if it matters, but I want to ask, is this in an active war zone as opposed to just being in a city? It looks almost like there's bullet holes in the concrete in front of them, if that is the concrete structure. I'm just trying to figure out, is this in a highly populated area? Like, is this war? What are we looking at here?
Well, there's a couple of things. These are metal, like traffic dividers. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
So
Jersey barriers.
Yeah, let me show
like
you.
That.
So they're like bollards, but they divide highways. You can see how they're picked up right here with these two metal hooks. Here, let me show you. Sorry, right here and here are rings that are embedded, which are rebar into the concrete, and these are how they're picked up with a chain to chain, and then a hydraulic will come in, whether that be a forklift or a crane or whatever. These are simply to rail them and stack them together. So these are just holes that you could stack them side by side with depth, 2 or 3 of them, and put rebar inside of them. That's it. And they're probably also stress relieving holes. They're functional from a construction. Some engineer can tell us what they are and why they would be there. But that's it. These if you look at them, they're symmetrical and they're perfectly precision milled. And then you've got some sort of flange over here. Standard. No. Is it a war zone? That is the question. And to me, that looks like civilian and structure. I don't know what building it is. I didn't go that far. I wanted to decide if that was... It's in Kazan, Russia. Let me find out. Here is another one, just to watch this. Once again, showing that it's a drone. This looks like an apartment building complex.
Yeah, that does.
This does not look like a military target. You can see it's the same type of aircraft that I pointed out. It's the KB-2. It's Turkish made. Multiple countries use this, by the way. Just wanted to let you know. And the interesting thing, there's a whole bunch. Azerbaijan uses it. Kenya uses it. Egypt uses it. But one of the one that's interesting that you guys might smile at, and I can't say anymore, but Poland uses it. If that doesn't help you put 2 and 2 together. So, because Ukraine is bordered by... That's right. So, you guys can see how this low profile comes in, and the reason why you don't hear the 3 separate explosions and they're reporting differently is it's too close. So it's almost completely synced up with the fuel plume and the primary explosions. Listen, you can hear it inside the report, though. You can hear it. So you hear a very sharp crack, and then you hear a slow, dull crack. Listen one more time. There. There's your crack. There's your boom.
God, that sounds weird.
Yeah, but That's why I'm good at what I do, because I can slow this shit down and show you. Hear it? Tack boom.
Yep.
Tack boom. So, once again, people say it's CGI, people say it's fake. It's not, it's real. 100% real, 100% authentic. Kazan, Russia, let's see. I don't know. I don't remember. I haven't been to the western side of Russia. Mine were predominantly ports and Red Sea entry. Let's take a look on a map. I'll tell you right away if it's military or not. Huh. Interesting. Satskurad. It's right on the Volga River, which is interesting.
Why do you find that interesting?
I find it interesting because it's a waterway. And these are military, these are non-military targets. Crimea, Nodua, Kazan. Yeah. This doesn't.
How far in?
I don't have the exact, well, you know what? Well, hold on. God.
Sorry. Had to ask.
No, don't be sorry. That's not why I'm like, God. I just have to utilize some other resources. Where are we? Where's my baby?
Huh?
Not that. I'm looking for something, honey.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Want that helmet. Very nice.
Yeah.
What is this?
Something. I'll get you an account.
Dude, thank you. This is so I'm nerding out right now. You have no idea.
Interesting. Only problem is it's very sensitive.
I hear if you whisper to it and talk gently, it usually responds better.
So,
right in there. Okay.
Yeah. So it's on the border of Ukraine. Here's Black Sea. Here's Black Sea. And it comes up into here. Here's Kazan. And you might ask me how I knew that was Kazan. Because I've done a lot of satellite tasking in this area. And not because of, God damn it, not because of military. I had it, you son of a bitch. Then you made me fucking sign in. Are you kidding me? Ugh. You know, I can only be as good as my tools. So, here's Kazan. And let's go to a satellite. There it is. That's what I thought it was. It's Ingalls. Okay, so that's how I know that place. There's a Russian aviation base there, but it is far south. But nothing. That's in Saratov, and it's nothing that I would write home about. It's more than likely civilian targets. I'm reading. It's a couple days ago, right? Looking. Here's an intelligence report on a drone that was shot down, caused a fire at the mall in Vladikavkaz. Vladikavkaz is the name. And may have been taken down. Yep, they've censored the shit out of it. Anyway, nothing that I would say. It to me, it looks like civilian. It doesn't look like military. I would have to go back. Here we go. Kursk region, Ukrainian forces, 25 people taken to hospital. Really interesting that this is not on here more in depth. Let me just take a look at one more thing. And I'll get you a better understanding of where this is at. So right around here is where this was hit. And there are no military bases of importance in that region. There's no command control. There's a Kremlin government apparatus, more of like the heartbeat of that area. But that very well could have been a military, but it was Ukrainian. Matt, do you think North Korea might be regretting sending Russia and their troops? I'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, that's my prognosis. Is this was we'll try to hit any target we can in Russia type situation. It's very, listen, there could have been some sort of intel apparatus. There could have been an imagery. It didn't look like that. The first building definitely could have been government based. It didn't look like a domicile. It looked like it had some hardened security around it, like Mike pointed out, especially with reinforced bollards. The secondary, most assuredly, was an apartment complex, or possibly elites and executives, or it could have been a hotel that was housing military units. I don't know. I would like to think that it was a military target, but the Ukrainians are a lot like the Russians. They don't fucking care as long as they kill Russians. People think Ukraine is just this, amazing and, morally superior group. They're not. Okay. Is that good enough? Did you guys want me to go into that anymore? Good. There's the breakdown.
Oh, that's great.
Let's go into something that's better, that I know a lot more about because of real time.
Do you know who Greg Gumbel is?
Yes, I know who Greg Gumbel is. He died.
Yeah, okay.
I know. It sucks. It sucks. A hero, somebody who I watched in sports for a long time. Command and control hit, possibly, but not with a drone. Why would you hit a command and control center with a drone? You know what I mean? You would take out satellites. You would take out comms towers. You would take out military bases. You wouldn't hit some rando base on the exterior. That doesn't do anything. All it does is set off a fire alarm and have the people take shelter and exfil from the location. That hardly does anything. I wouldn't send a drone. If you can send a drone, why wouldn't you go ahead and send a missile? Biden gave permission to go ahead and put those cruise missile base and the ATACMS in there. Why not use those? They're within range. It's less than 500 miles, 500 kilometers. Plus, maybe not as precise, but the only reason you would use those things in a building is to take out a single individual. You know what office he's in. You know what floor he's on. You get the GPS coordinates. You paint that target, and you send in a drone and hit him. I don't think Ukraine is that lethal. I don't think Ukraine has that intel. I think the United States does.
It's like, why would you send in two? Same thing Olivia pointed out. Looks like there's a hole already there.
Redundancy.
Yep.
Redundancy. To make sure you get your kill. Yeah. But I will also say
it's been a real bad dude.
Yeah, you want to take out a general who's in conference. It's an executive boardroom. You want to take him out on the 27th floor, and it's a good way to do it. That'll do it. First drone breaks exterior. Next drone enters target deeper, blows up target. Now the question is why did it go ahead and decide to hit 4 floors lower? Maybe the target was moving. And that's how good the intel. So it's either extremely high precision intel, which would be USA, or it's Ukraine. Or somebody else who might have those systems who know how to work them. Poland! Yes, that's Hayden's beautiful voice in the background. Yes, it was Ukraine's. Folks, there's only so much that we can go into. I'll give you the bones, but you got to skin it and put the muscle on it. Fair enough. All right, let's get to the last part. We're gonna be on time, but you guys have exceeded expectations on donations once again, and you deserve us. We're your whores, and we're here for you.
And I said my first F word. It's been a nice night.
I'm sorry that just goes so along with the Rumble chat right now.
So I want to show you. Listen, I'm not going to get into too much detail. Okay. So I want you guys to understand that I am treading on thin ice with some of the things that we're going to talk about. And I don't want you to, I'm just going to give you a very high level, and I got to have your trust. Okay. You're just going to have to trust me. This is not a 6th generation fighter. This is a piece of shit. The most exciting thing about this is that if you listen to the profile, it's a 3-engine aircraft. And you're like, Matt, how could you possibly know that? Well, because see this? See this? See this? See that? Assisted cooling, these are exhaust points for an aircraft. And what
I was
you don't
trying
see,
to figure that out.
And what you don't see is the other exhaust right here. So it's a tri-exhaust plane, and that's rare. Now, the F-35 and others in Harrier-based aircraft will have a downward thruster, which can give them vertical or a vertical-assisted takeoff. But that usually rotates and moves, the AV-8B Harriers and other Harriers. But if you're looking at the F-35, it actually has a full downward thrust from up and down. It can actually assist down, assist up in the center of the aircraft. But this has 3 vector thrust. 1, 2, 3. And what's interesting is the overall direction of these thrusters, which really is interesting. And I'll tell you why it's interesting. Because if you have a primary thrust here in the back, and that goes out, can these two sustain? Sure, and they would be independent. But if one of these goes out, what happens to this plane? It's going to resemble this. In circles. Because you have a center thrust and a thrust here, which would make it. And the reason how I know that is because I will bring you another plane known as the F-117. And it's the Nighthawk. And anybody who's seen Executive Decision, this is why we stopped fucking making them. And although still use them, we understand that this thing was a flying piece of shit. The vector wing build is not exceptionally strong unless there is a very wide base. So in order to help stabilization, that's why you see these 2 rabbit ears on the back here. This helps its radar signature profile, but also helps its stabilizers. So these engines and the way that they work based upon the aircraft can create a lot of instability. And this is the problem with the F-17, is that it was supposed to be, and the F stands for fighter, right? But it's not a fighter. And the reason why it's not a fighter is because it maneuvers like a pig in shit. So I wrote this earlier. The F-117 needs active flight controllers to stay stable because of its unstable design. The V-tail helps reduce its radar signature and was likely chosen to avoid the complexity of making a fully tailless design work. Remember what I said, fully tailless design. You can't make it work. Lockheed used a flight control system based on the F-15 or F-18, which normal tails with rudders and elevators. It was probably easier to adapt that system to the F-117's V-tail and the elevons rather than trying to handle everything with just the elevons like the B-2 Spirit, which is another, which I was telling you, based upon you counteract it with size. The B-2B bomber, the B-2 bomber or the B-2 Spirit is a tailless bird, and she is a massive fucker and can stabilize based upon its wing sweep. This worked. And the reason why it worked is because overall mass and overall size and lift and the drag coefficient of that plane is better than this flying box of death. So when the Chinese decide to go ahead and create something that looks almost identical to it, like this, you know what it's going to have. A very difficult time flying, and I'm about to show you that now. This is not a fighter. This isn't even a 4.5 gen fighter. And I'll explain the difference in the generational fighters in just a second. Now, if you're really good, you can listen with me and hear the 3 inches working simultaneously. Listen. And I'll tell you what profile you're looking for. Listen to this. No typing, Liv.
Okay.
You can't hear it until the Doppler effect stops. When that is in a vertical position over your head at the 12 o'clock mark, you'll be able to hear the ripples and the cracks of the engine. Okay, and this is the destabilizing air being pushed and thrusted from the engine, and also hearing the exhaust of the engine. Listen, and you will hear multiple sounds. And if you're really good at what you do, like Leroy and I are, you'll know that there's 3 engines there because there's no 2-engine plane on the planet that makes that sound. It is a very, very unique sound. The problem is that the profile is projecting differently than most planes. We saw 2 45-degree angle engines and 1 dead center. So you're going to get some imbalance in the sound. You're going to hear reciprocal sound. You're going to hear sounds that sound alike, but you can hear that it's not a 2-engine plane, which lets you know that it's 3. Not that there's any identifying sound that tells you it's 3. You just know what most 2-engine planes sound like, depending upon the engine they're using and the make and model and all of that, that there are more than 2 there because the sound identifiers are not equivalent to a 2-engine plane. Does that make sense? So therefore you know it's 3, because we know it's not 1. We know it's not 2 because we can hear it, so therefore it's 3, and there's no room for 4. So this is a very unique thing, but I want you to watch also the turn of it.
What is that other plane doing next to it?
Aha. What do you notice? That is another supposedly 6th generation fighter. I believe it's like a J-22, maybe. It's called the Arrow. Also something not to worry about. We'll talk about that in a second. But if you want, it looks like honestly an F1 Saab. Let's watch this first and I'll show you what an F1 looks like. Or an F1 Mirage made by Saab. What do you notice about the 2 planes?
Well, big boy over there looks like he's got a low roll rate, I guess, or pitch. What am I thinking of? Pitching?
Very good, Daniel-san. You learn very fast.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
So what does that mean? Why is he having to turn? Why is he having to lift his wing sweep up about 18 to 19 degree bank turn when the other boy over there is doing like a 7-degree turn? Why?
Aerodynamically unstable. Or unstable.
Because it's a brick. It's a flying brick. This is not a 6th generation fighter. They say it is because of its stealth technology. There's a better look at the exhausts. So you have these fins in the back, which ultimately for its elevators. And you've got its engine exhaust on the under wing sweep, and then the one in the center. And we're going to get a good look. There it is. Now, see that on the top there, how it's got a couple on the back of the wing? It might be a little small for you, but those are fins for stabilization. This thing is a tank.
You know what that looks like? Where you paused it, it looks like the old snack food bugles.
Yeah.
Remember them?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like right there.
Jazzy says this looks like an F-16. This doesn't look anything like an F-16. Oh, the one to the left? No, that does not look like an F-16. That looks like a Mirage. No, that's not an F-16. Oh, let me show you. This is an F1 Saab who makes it. Yes, the same one that makes the cars, or a Mirage. They are predominantly used in the Middle East And that's what it looks like. You've got the two fins here, stabilizer, single engine aircraft, fixed wing. That's what it looks like. Makes sense? So that's an F1. Now, an F-16 looks nothing like that. First of all, the engine is on the undercarriage. It's in almost the front. Exhaust port is on the front. The Eagle has a very, very, very different anatomy of its wing sweep. It's very small, very low profile. Totally different plane. Honestly, the F-16 looks more like to an F-18, except for the dual tails and the dual engines and the overall size of its wing, its capacity, and that it's almost 2.5 times the size of an F-16. F-16s are the mosquito of the air. They are ridiculous. There's a reason why the Jews still use them. But let me go ahead and give you the indicators of what first generation is. So, Mike, did you do any research on the generations of plane at all by chance?
No, I did not. I'm sorry about that. But I have a basic idea.
I am sorry that I'm talking about so long, and I apologize, but this is kind of why I warned you guys that this segment was going to be more of a notification, but I'll give it to you quick. First generation's 1940, 1950. So these are subsonic aircraft. Okay. So predominantly able to drop bombs, but guided missiles, not necessarily. The avionics were just basic radios, basic navigation. A lot of these didn't even have IFF transponders, but the subsonic speed is what made them generation ones, and they also had rocket engines. Trying to think of some first generation planes. The MiG-15, the F-86 Sabre, Messerschmitt, the 282 or the 262, one of the two. Second generation is 1950s, 1960s. These are going to be supersonic speeds, sound barrier breaking. They introduced guided air-to-air missiles, predominantly used Korea F-4 Phantom, the F-104 Starfighter, the MiG-21. These are all examples. Third generation is 1960s, 1970s. That's when you started seeing enhanced maneuverability, dogfighting tactics, things to that effect, improved avionics and radar, and then advanced guided missiles. That would be the F-4 Phantom, and that would be the F-4 Phantom 2, not the F-4 Phantom 1, similar to the Super Hornet versus the F-18 Hornet, the MiG-23, and then the one I mentioned, the Mirage, which is still, the Mirage 3 is a very good aircraft. Now, fourth generation, now we're getting into more modern day times. So that's the F-16, the Su-27 Flanker, the Dassault, and now you've got completely over-the-horizon, basic over-the-horizon targeting. You got fly-by-wire technology. You got heads-up display. You have laser-guided bombs and munitions. You have GBRS. You've got paveways. You've got bunker busters. You've got GBUs ranging from low-end 250 pounds all the way up to 6,000-pound bombs. These are massive. And then you've got like the 4.5. And this is what this thing is. It's a 4.5. It's got electronic scanned array, AESA, reduced radar capabilities, radar absorbent material put on it. It's got a low signature profile. This is very much like the F-A-18E and F Super Hornet, or the Su-35. Then you got fifth generation. Now we're going into the F-22, the F-35, the Su-57, the J-20 from China, which is what I think was flying next to that thing, which is the Arrow. I'll give you a picture of it. This is what was flying next to it in my estimation, and I'm very rarely wrong, so I'm not wrong. There it is. You can see the two wings on the fuselage. Yep. It's the same plane. This is the Arrow. It's the answer to the F-35 and the okay. It's the answer to the F-35 and F-22 in China's mind, but it's not. Now, sixth generation is completely different. That is over-the-horizon technology. It's got optimal man and unmanned capabilities, advanced AI, can use multi-independent platforms, satellite-based missiles, has hypersonic missile capability, advanced network-centric jamming, and over-the-horizon electronic countermeasures. I mean, this is unbelievable shit that's not even in generation yet, except for the United States and the United Kingdom. and a few other places. But this is like the NGAD, the Tempest from UK, and the FCAS in Europe, which is the Future Combat Air something. So this is the 20. Now, let's go ahead and have a real conversation. What does this mean? F-16 is a Falcon. What did I say? What did I say? The F-16? Did I say? I didn't say anything other than F-16. I thought I said the F-16 Fighting Falcon. I know what the 16 is, but it's a Mosquito. That's what I'm saying. It's small, it's fast, it's maneuverable, and it stings. That's its job. The F-16 was one of the best combat fighters ever, and still one of the best combat fighters, and can take out 90% of the air forces of any rival. So I wasn't saying it was the F-16 Mosquito. I'm saying the F-16 is a Mosquito. Make sense? I'm pretty fucking sure I know what an F-16 is. Or did you want me to pull more shit out of my ass out of random facts? I mean, moving on. So here's the thing, is that the 6th generation fighters are not operational because it's not a fighter. It's the technology inside of it. So some of the things that I just mentioned are in testing. They're in hypotheticals. So it's not maneuverability, it's not speed, or it's not cool looking. This is the Chinese making a very cool looking plane and throwing it out there and flying it around and saying, we have a 6th generation fighter. Are any of these flying over New Jersey? No. No, Shirley, no. In fact, the only thing flying over New Jersey are civilian aircraft and military aircraft and what the government doesn't want you to know about. These, you notice how the drone things just disappeared? People are like, it stopped because we were getting close. No. F-15 is the Eagle. The Strike Eagle, to be exact. F-15. And if you want to go to the 2, you have the Lightning Eagle, which is the 2E. That's F-15. F-16 is the Fighting Falcon. Thank you. Okay, so what I'm trying to say to you is that the F-22, okay, listen to what I'm telling you. The F-15 Eagle, or the Strike Eagle, is considered to be one of the best fighters ever created, United States Air Force. F-16 is also. The F-35 engaged Ramstein Air Force Base, and they sent up a group of 7 F-15 Strike Eagles to engage an F-35. The F-35 was 500 miles away. It killed every F-15 within a matter of a minute and a half, and not one F-15 even saw it on radar. They all died. The F-35 can independently take out an entire squadron of aircraft by itself. It's simply a matter of how many missiles it has and how many targets it can hit independently that it wants to without exposing itself. Then, if you get close enough to kill it, you have to fight it. And you have to fight an aircraft that has technology that rivals certain missiles with its ability to stall its speed, with its ability to reverse its trajectory, from its ability to take Gs more than any other pilot in any other aircraft can take because of its build. There is nothing that can touch the F-35 and the F-22. F-35, yes, because it's a different platform, but there is not one thing that can hit an F-22. So, when we talk about China and get all scared, can I tell you, calm the fuck down. This is China flexing its little tiny rice-sized penis and saying, we've got hypersonic missiles, we've got a cool Air Force. No. In fact, you still have diesel aircraft carriers. We're not scared. At all. Can you imagine trying to hold the Sea of Japan? Oh, wait a second, hold on, we got to go refuel. We got to go ahead and bring in some fuel. And our nuke carriers are there. Oh, yeah, bring it in. It's cool, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Now you're fucked. We're just going to sit here, and every time you send a refueler, just blow that thing up until you're out of diesel, and then we're going to go ahead and sink you. Okay? All right. Yeah, the F-22 doesn't cost too much. Because the thing about it that we need to understand is that money I don't care how much it costs. Air superiority is what matters. You're not shooting F-22s down. So until we have these F-22s getting shot down and 35s getting shot down, it's not too much money. It's simply spending our resources and our defense budget. Now, do I want to be using these things long-term in the future against drones? No, but we're not there yet. Iran can send 300 drones at an F-35. They already tried it. It was called Israel. F-35s were shooting those fucking things down all day. Israel scrambled those F-35s. We scrambled ours, and we literally obliterated most of what came in. They are very, very smart and deadly aircraft. The F-22 is far superior to anything available right now. Yes, even including the J-20 Chinese Saab ripoff that basically looks like if an S-27 bent over an F-1, that's what we have. All right. Any other questions?
No.
I'm good, man. That was great.
There was a request.
What's that?
A request for a new mug or something. The Liberal Tears mug. They want you to make it now.
You want me to make this? I'll make this.
The Liberal Tears.
By the way, Mel
Tumblr.
says, to me, a single aircraft has more vulnerabilities. Not if it's 500 miles away. You're not going to send a hypersonic missile at an aircraft. You're not going to waste the money. Okay? That would be like hiring Hulk Hogan to kick the shit out of Mike. It's just overkill when Olivia can do it. Okay? So an F-22 is not too expensive based upon what
F and G.
Yeah. So
yep.
An F-30. Shut up, Mike. An F-35 is not too expensive when it can't be seen. When it can independently declare war on a country or an air fighter squadron or a tank column or a regiment without even knowing it's there. A drone has to get in airspace it's not supposed to. We can hit the Kremlin from Sweden. Yeah. So, no, I've got no problem with the F-35. And I got no problem with the F-22. And yes, they're expensive. So are aircraft carriers. And by the way, all these people are like, hypersonic missiles are going to take out all our aircraft carriers. The weapon systems on an aircraft carrier, you got no idea. If you think it's all CWIS, no, there's plenty of new systems that I can't even begin to even talk about. Trust me when I say the Navy is safe. Okay?
Every time you say Sea Whiz, all I think about is Cheese Whiz in the can that you would spray out Ritz crackers. That's all I think about.
Let me show you
I
something.
just think about a can of Cheese Whiz sitting on top of an aircraft
Let me
carrier.
just show you the phalanx system.
Whatever you do,
It's a phalanx.
do it for less at Harbor Freight.
And then we'll be done. Shut up. Play the thing. No, already heard.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I want one.
Oh my God,
Perfect
I shot
timing.
coffee.
Yeah,
Perfect timing.
It's percolating. Watch this boat. Watch this boat.
Sounds like Ethan in the bathroom reading chili. Ooh, poor boat.
Oh, God.
Now, let me just tell.
Oh,
Okay,
I shouldn't-
so can I just say one thing and then I'm going to stop? Last thing I'll say. That shit is old as dirt. And 99% of all foreign military weapon systems couldn't even remotely touch that. Hypersonic missiles use high speed velocity, and I will tell you that we have answers for them. Okay? That's all I'm saying. We have answers for hypersonic missiles. It's a lot more complex, and I'm not even going to fucking begin to talk about it. I'm telling you, the United States Navy, not just because I was a part of it, I don't brag a lot about the Navy. I think they're a bunch of Dixie cup wearing, ice cream good humor men. But I wore BDUs, and I'll tell you, they got their shit together. The Navy is the most dominant and superior force in the world. And yes, you might be able to sink a carrier with a hypersonic missile. There's no doubt. But don't think that we will not rain holy hell on wherever that strike came from and knock it into fucking the Stone Age. If you're going to sink one of our carriers, you're going to get a nuclear weapon up your ass. Listen to what I said. You sink a carrier, you're getting a nuke. And everyone in the fucking world knows it. And I don't care who's in office. That is declaration number one. You kill a U.S. president, you're going to get a nuke. You sink one of our carriers, you're going to get a fucking nuke. We don't like people who sink our stuff. Ask the Japanese. You sink a carrier, you're going to get a tactical nuke in your fucking capital. Don't fuck with the United States of America. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, any other questions? Sixth generation. Oh, we're going to mock up a really cool looking plane and call it the sixth generation. You know, it's like when people were like, oh yeah, well, you don't think 4K is cool? We got 16K. Well, the human eye can really only see in 8K. So isn't that kind of overkill? 32K. All right. Sure. You can just put whatever fucking number on you want. Doesn't mean it's any better. Mike, you got 1 minute. 2 minutes if you want. Take two. I'm sorry. I talked for a long time. Go ahead.
Take two. Well, I don't have 2 minutes worth of material, I don't believe. But first and foremost, thank you guys for having me on again. Shout out there again to Mr. Tommy Cawthon for literally being one of the kindest individuals I've met in a long time. And I did not deserve that kindness. You're a very generous man. Thank you for that. Very good friend. Third, wonderful Christmas. I hope everybody else had the same. Be with your family. I'm telling you, put the politics to the side, be with your family. Just leave it at that. It's pretty easy. And then I won't see you guys before New Year's. So let's go into 2025 with realistic expectations and goals for one another, and quit the bullshit where you go into the gym for like 7 weeks. Matt, I need a trainer. We're going to have to talk at some point, by the way. I actually want to do this right. But that's all I got, guys. Happy New Year. Thanks for having me here.
Eat protein. It's all diet, dude. It's all diet. You don't need a diet. You need to eat more and lift hard. So we'll talk. But dude, I'm telling you, like this is only 11 days. You'll see me in 4 weeks, and you'll just be like, what the? It's a transformation.
Hulk smash.
No, not that. I'll just like
that?
I already have chubby cheeks, but like you'll see my cheekbones, and I'll start blowing up. So, Olivia, first of all, I want to say something. There are times on these shows, especially when we do military shit, that I got questions from people, and unfortunately, Olivia and Mike got sprayed with it tonight. That was 30 minutes of me just going alone, and I'm sorry, but that topic is, I apologize, but you guys aren't going to add anything to that conversation because you don't know anything about that shit, except if you ask questions.
That's okay. My Rumble peeps kept me.
What were they saying to you?
It's nothing I
Come
can
on,
say online.
Why? What were they saying?
We all have dirty minds tonight. Just put it that way.
What were they talking about? Come on, let us in on it a little bit.
No, I can't.
Is that why you're laughing over there?
Yes, it is. All dirty minds.
Is it that Judy? Is it Judy?
It's me. Debbie is the ringleader.
Debbie.
I swear. And Beebs tonight. Beebs was definitely. just put it this way.
I need to join Rumble.
Seriously, it's the best chat. After the discussion for a while, I asked everyone if they'd seen the SNL skits Sweaty Wiener and Sweaty Balls, and I said that just goes along the topic of what we were talking about.
Dude,
So,
I'm sorry, your sweaty wiener is dripping on my chin. Oh my God. I love the smell of your sweaty balls.
When you made the comment of I'm only as good as my tools, the comment was Olivia's, how good are Matt's tools? That was one of the comments.
I've never been asked for a refund.
Exactly.
I'll tell you that much.
So
I mention it the same way.
I love popping your sweaty balls in my mouth. It's such a good skit. Sweaty wiener is the best.
Oh, goodness.
You can't find sweaty wiener. Sweaty balls is great, but sweaty wiener is... That's one you got to watch. All right, listen, folks, thanks for a great show tonight. Thanks for talking to us. Thanks for all the donations. You guys are helping so much. This is our slowest donation time. Mike, dude, you're contributing more, your comfort level. I love how you take notes. That's interesting. Most people don't, but that means a lot to me. That means you're learning, you're understanding the tempo. I would love next time if you bring a topic that you're passionate about and want to lead, and I'd love to hear it, man. But you're a great addition to the show, and I appreciate you, man. And thank you for sitting in there and giving me 30. That's a long topic. You brought it up though, so of course I was going to take it.
Not a problem. Thank you for taking it.
Yes. All right, we're back. When, Liv? What are we coming back?
Monday at 7:00.
Okay, what's going on for New Year's?
I don't know yet. I'm working every day except Wednesday next week. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we're coming on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be on Monday. We're going to be on Tuesday. We're going to be off on Wednesday. And then pick it back up on Thursday and Friday, 7:00. So we're only going to be off one. I appreciate all of you. Thank you all very, very much. We love you. We'll see you guys on Monday night. God bless. Mike, have a great weekend. Tell your parents hello for me.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Mike. Night, y'all.
See ya. Thanks.
Adjusting transmitter output.
Good job, Mikey.
This
Thanks,
is
man.
the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.